some people, they'll delete the apps off of their phone temporarily.
Going up to a doctor.
It could be my phone. I get up to make a cup of tea and then suddenly...
My wife uses them for her students. It's called a time timer. I'm going to do a 20-minute clean, a 30-minute clean, and then it'll go off and saying, "Doctor, I feel like I'm in danger of failing your class."
Hello and welcome to the ADHDoers Story podcast, where we talk to successful people with ADHD so that you can learn more about their stories, their struggles, and how they've overcome their issues with ADHD. Today we are speaking to Al Madrigal, who is a comedian and struggled with ADHD since he was younger. He speaks about how he had ADHD through school and his struggles, as well as his daughter's struggles currently. And he talks about how he has used gamification and timers to help him get tasks done. Hello, Al. It's very good to meet you.
Thanks for having me on. I'm honored. This is the very first episode of the ADHDoers. Is that ADHDoers podcast?
Yes, the ADHDoers. So we want to interview people who are successful in their businesses, in their endeavors, but also have ADHD so that we can talk more about your story, how you got there, and any struggles that you had to overcome.
Sure. No, I'm excited because, you have, as someone with pretty severe ADHD, it's taken me a while to figure out how to game it and fight it. And I lose some days, but I wake up every single day fighting. So it's I can tell you exactly how I do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do really, is just carry on fighting every day. But could you tell us a little bit more about yourself in case anyone is not already aware of who you are or what you do?
I don't assume anyone is aware. I am a comedian, actor, writer. I founded a company, a podcast network. That's how it started, called All Things Comedy. A lot of acting, movies you may have seen me in. Night School with Kevin Hart, The Way Back with Ben Affleck. I was in London shooting a movie called Morbius, and also write quite a bit. So I have a deal, this is called an overall, here in Los Angeles, where I am paid to write television. I have a great little office, and I come up with TV ideas for CBS Network. I also have a couple kids that are out of the house, and just trying to live the happiest, stress-free life possible, which is difficult when you have as many things going on as I possibly do, because I'm also on a TV show as an actor. I'm on a show called Lopez versus Lopez, which is, I think you could potentially find on Netflix. I'm not sure in the UK or internationally, but that is a network sitcom, which is kind of easy to do work-wise. It's the least demanding schedule you could possibly have, so it allows me to do my many other things. So that's who I am. As I'm a 53-year-old man who just recently became aware of how bad the ADHD was through my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how so? How did that happen?
Well, my daughter got assessed and diagnosed. Her teachers had been telling my wife, who is coincidentally an educational therapist. So my wife is the one that is helping little kids sort of spot this early in elementary school. Because I grew up at a time where it wasn't really a thing, and I think that's a lot of us. So do you have it? Is that why you're here? Is that or...
Potentially. I'm like 99% sure.
Yeah. So, when we're, a little bit older, because, it's relatively new, or parents have to be aware that something is going on. But I grew up in this, born in 1971, grew up in the 70s. This is when you're supposed to say how young I look. And
oh my goodness, I never would have guessed.
So I just went about my day, and so did my parents. I had two parents that work. I'm the eldest son, so I'm this pioneer child who is the guinea pig for my parents. And I think I did well enough in school because I went to a little grammar school. When I got to high school, that's when I recognized that it was incredibly difficult for me to keep pace. I tested into the not going to be hard on myself, but the not smart children, not smart teenagers math. So I was in coincidentally with the same math teacher my father had, and we both went to the same high school. He graduated in 1957. I graduated in 1989.
Oh,
And
wow.
we were in not smart boys math. And I remember getting a phone call from the school that I was on the brink of failing out, and really, was the kid that was involved in all of the activities, but just never a great student. So, going through life, not knowing what that was, I think the thing where you beat yourself up is just you think you're stupid.
Yeah.
And that's pretty hard because you don't want to be so hard on yourself, but you can't help but think that you're dumb. And you're watching people, I went to a college prep called St. Ignatius College Preparatory for Boys. So you're watching people excelling, and you're watching friends take AP classes, and here you are barely able to look at a page of math problem. So when my daughter is in high school, my son goes to a similar school in Los Angeles and does well. If he has it, it's not as severe. And then his problem is most likely just being a little on the lazy side. He's capable of doing incredible work, but, doesn't put forth, like a lot of kids, his maximum effort. And then with my daughter, teachers are constantly saying that she needs help. She goes to a school, but she's getting good grades. So she's getting a 4.0. She's getting a 4.2 grade point average, which I'm not sure in the UK or internationally how that translates, but, better than A, because she's taking advanced courses, honors classes, does really well in math. But what the assessment said, you pay money to go get her actually assessed. They've never seen anyone like her or she's in a very small percentile because she fought through. She actually has the same severe ADHD that I had and she just powered through. She stayed up till 3:00 in the morning. She got her work done. And when the woman told my wife, she said, most kids like her completely give up and don't try. And that was me. And when we started talking about this in a therapy session to get her prescribed for medication, I immediately just started bawling because I had flashbacks to all of these horrible moments in my life where I just completely felt unable to do the work. And it wasn't until I think I was not the best student in high school, even though I participated in all the activities. I wrote sketches for rallies that they had at the school for like spirit rallies. I was in the musical. I did student body government. I wrote a speech and ran for student body treasurer and won by a landslide. And then I ran, all my life I did sort of run for student body president, and it was always very well liked and popular and participated really in all of the extracurricular stuff. But in terms of the actual schoolwork, I might have been the worst student in my class that was completely passed through school. Then I distinctly remember going up to a physics teacher, Dr. Parker, and saying, "Doctor, I feel like I'm in danger of failing your class." And because he had, as a joke, put my grade well below everyone else's when he posted, hit return a couple times on the keyboard and put Madrigal 53%. And
That's kind of harsh.
Yeah, it is, but whatever. It's kind of fun to do. And he put his hand on my shoulder and he goes, "Mr. Madrigal, old man. He goes, "For students like you, I don't believe in F's. I believe in B's. Have a great summer." Because he knew I was involved in all of these other things. So it's like they kind of passed me along. I went back to the school to speak. I'm notable alumni based on all of the things I've accomplished. And one of the math teachers that I had said, "We don't have kids like here at you anymore. They don't even exist. We need them, but they don't even come here anymore. They can't get in." So I never would have been able to go to my high school. The joke I say is I probably shouldn't have been going to my high school back then. So I ended up graduating and struggling quite a bit when I went to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, which is a sort of state school in California, and ended up finishing at USF. By the time I got to USF, I finished with a 3.8 grade point average because it was smaller classes. And I knew what I needed to do the work. I knew that I didn't have too many chances left. And I think, I don't know about you, but, for someone who procrastinates, you needed to get to the 11th hour. You need to have a little bit of pressure to get it done.
Yeah, a lot of people with ADHD have the same thing. Like if you have the pressure of a deadline, suddenly the motivation comes. And that's probably why if your daughter was studying and doing her assignments until 3 a.m., potentially it was because of the procrastination leading up to that moment. And then suddenly the deadline looming made her incredibly productive. And suddenly she could just smash it out really quickly and get everything done.
She also was, it just takes us longer to read. You have to read things twice. It's going to take us to make flashcards. She's lucky because the technology now is really in favor of people that are working and studying and trying to accomplish anything, especially in schoolwork of like memorizing things. There's all kinds of programs like Quizlet. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but it immediately makes flashcards for you. And there's all kinds of AI programs that will translate something into flashcards to help somebody like us, and Gamify to basically make like a little video game out of learning something. Because I think that is the biggest takeaway. Like when you have ADHD, we need to figure out how we can learn. And I didn't have any guidance. I had zero guidance when it came to that. So you got to kind of figure it out for yourself. Like learning in a traditional way is just not going to work for us, or for me, because everyone, has a different type and diagnosis and is able to do certain things. But I need to make the flashcards. If I want to memorize lines as an actor, especially when I was home, I was away from home and I was in London, I would go to my hotel room. And I would make flashcards, and I'd put every single line. Let's say that day I had a monologue and I had 20 lines. I would make a little game where I would go put them all around my bed, and I would try to make it to the end without messing up, just so I can get the memorization down. And then I could think about the acting of it. So I really try to like gamify all of my memorization and all of my reading. I just have to get here. They say, people with ADHD, excuse the siren, we're very close if you can hear it. They do.
I can't hear it, it's fine.
They are basically saying that, like, people with ADHD typically have messy rooms, and, organization is very difficult. My closet right now is not looking great.
Tell me about it.
But they say fold one shirt, start.
It works.
This is a great trick, and I have one right in front of me, and I'll show it. You can buy these on Amazon. My wife uses them for her students. It's called a time timer.
Okay, how does that work?
So, it's the simplest device that exists. There's little baby ones. But if I want to clean my room, I'm just going to do it for 15 minutes.
Oh.
And I'm just going to do a 15-minute clean. I'm going to do a 20-minute clean, a 30-minute clean, and then it'll go off. And I'm done. So in that time, if I can just do 20 minutes a day, I started having things like that everywhere, and I gamify just everything. So I think that's, in terms of being ADHD doer. I have learned that, and I'm lucky enough with this writing deal, I have help. But I think technology is our friend. Technology is going to help us come up with the little games of setting reminders in your phone, looking at your day, using timers constantly to stay focused and just try to do one task. I'm battling against this every single day. Since my daughter's diagnosis, also same psychiatrist where I started crying in the office, prescribed Vyvanse. And I tried, that's Vyvanse. Have you tried that or?
No, I've not heard of it before. What is it?
It's a form of, an ADHD medication. I'm on 20 milligrams. That's what they prescribed. I had tried Adderall. Really didn't work for me. It made me very jittery and anxious. There's another one called Focalin, FOC, I think ALIN, and that gave me a headache. Vyvanse, it's like Goldilocks, is just right. It is just the perfect thing for me, and it's really helped me a lot. I think also what was happening to me, and this is during COVID, I recognized my ADHD was also causing me to sort of go down a road of like negative thoughts, and I was replaying all of my missteps in life. So someone with ADHD, typically you have you overtalk, and you listen to me take one question you've asked and just talk the entire podcast.
That's what we're here for. It's fun.
Yes. So, but you're going to have a lot of this when you do these interviews. But I have a tendency to overtalk. If I have a couple drinks in me and I want to go to a party, especially someone in Hollywood, and I have horrible social anxiety, so you have a couple drinks and then just a chatterbox. So the other thing that I'm doing now that I was never doing before is a self check-in. So before I go to a party, before I even start my work day, I'm going to have a great day. I check in and I go, okay, brain, how you doing? We're going to have a wonderful day today. Because your brain is like doing what it typically does, right? And this is how it was explained to me. Your brain is just, we know what we're doing. We know what we like. We know the flavors, and you walk by this place and just has like a routine that we get into. Almost like, I'm not sure, do you have a dog?
No, I actually have cats.
So my dog knows its walk. It knows exactly where it's going to go. Like when we go right and we typically go left, he's like, what do we do? We're going left, right? What are we doing going right? Like, it just knows the way. So our brain knows the way. So what we want to, when we want to break that cycle of negative thoughts, we want to break that cycle of over talking at a party. I went to this big Hollywood party where typically I would have been terrified. Producers in a billionaire's house whose last name may have been Murdoch, just going to this incredibly beautiful home with so many influential people. And I would have been terrified, and I was not. I did a check-in. I said, you're invited here because you deserve to be here, and you're not going to overtalk. You're going to have a great time. So I kind of gave myself this little self-check-in pep talk, and I'm doing that more and more. And it really is helping me out. So gamifying things, self-check-ins, and exercise is fantastic, but really it just allows me to accomplish quite a bit. And I feel like now that I've just gotten it figured out, maybe I've been on Vyvanse for like a year and a half or a year or so. I'm just getting started. I'm unstoppable. I'm going to, I've accomplished quite a bit, but you have no idea. Well, I'm just very excited about what I have coming up in the next, 7 years. Before I turn 60, I really am excited about all that I can accomplish and then the foundation that I built. It's hard not to look back over all of those lost years. It's hard to not look back and say, man, if I just had this figured out in high school, I would be living next to that billionaire Murdoch. But in terms of happiness, I think that is my main goal. I say this little thing to myself every single morning. I go on a walk and I'll look out over this big valley in Southern California where I can see quite a bit. And we're lucky enough that there's mountain ranges and it's really this beautiful vista. And I say, I want to be happy. I'm happy. I am happy. I'm happy, healthy, and ultra successful. So happy, healthy, ultra successful. I write down that. You might see in a notebook where I'll just go, HHUS, is just written down places every now and then just to remind myself that's what I'm going for. Money is great, but happiness and health are primary goals. Money is fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And obviously we're interviewing you because you're successful in terms of what you've achieved in work and everything. But to me, happiness and health is probably a good measure of success. And I know that money helps you buy things that make you happy and it helps you buy things that make you healthier. So they go hand in hand quite a lot. But I think you're right in that happiness and health is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And money is great to not stress out about money. Anytime you're stressed about where the next check or rent is coming from, or if you overextend yourself, I'm lucky enough to be, pretty smart financially. I still spend money unwisely, but I don't know why we're here. And, not just the two of us, but just in general. So I'm just not going to stress out about it too much. So I feel like I'm in a great place. Every day is a complete reset. I still think I have a problem with impulse control. Mm-hmm. And obviously alcohol, even though I'm not a huge drinker. I like drinking. I don't plan on quitting. I used to love smoking cigarettes. I don't do that anymore because I know I only have so many, I smoked my share and I did it. And, that's why when I was in London, I took to it immediately. This is for me. We're going out on Tuesday. I'll go out on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's very much like that.
We're going to smoke cigarettes outside. I'll smoke cigarettes outside. We're going to do that. We're going to go outside the pub on a Tuesday and have a couple of pints and smoke some cigarettes. I'm with you. So, that part has been difficult. I'm half Mexican, half Sicilian. And I remember going to talk to a physician about depression after my father passed away. And she said, do you think you have anyone in your family that masks depression with alcohol? And I go, everyone, the kids. I mean, every single person in my family, 100% on both sides. So, yeah. So that's been tricky. But in terms of figuring it out now, I feel like I'm still working on it and I have a better path to it. But the big answer to how I've been able to get here and how I've been able to accomplish what I have so far is figuring myself out. And that is, I know it's easier for me to set this timer and say, we're going to clean the office for 20 minutes, or we're going to clean I'm going to put away my jackets for 15 minutes. I'm just going to hang some stuff. It's easy for me to say, I'm going to write this movie script and just work on this scene for 25 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, do you find that when you sit down to do it, and that 25 minutes has passed, you actually don't want to stop.
Yeah, when you're on a run, you want to finish your thought, but you set like a little bit of a goal for yourself. And if you don't get it done, that's fine. I think I want to build in, 5 minutes to look at my phone. My problem also, if I have to pinpoint my biggest difficulty and challenge, is my phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an issue for me too. I think a lot of people with ADHD, that's an issue because it's constant dopamine, constant stream as you're scrolling every 2 seconds, 1 second, however quickly you go through videos. And you almost get acclimatized to that.
Yeah, I set a reminder on my phone. I allowed myself, I'll have to change this. I allowed myself 15 minutes of Instagram every single day. And it says, your 15 minutes is up, and it shuts off. And I said, give me another 15. Right, and I'll go. And it's right there. And the problem is my job being an actor, being a comedian, and kind of requires me to have some sort of social media presence. So I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram, I have a Twitter account, even though I'm thinking about ditching that. And then, you have a Facebook. So it's at Al Madrigal on all of those things. I got to plug in my computer.
Of course.
Of course, yes. So I just think that if, I have one big challenge, it's the phone, and I'm just, working on it. It's never going to be perfect, but I'll keep trying. And, I have very specific goals that I want to achieve as well.
Yeah. Some people, they'll delete the apps off of their phone temporarily. But obviously if you're doing business through it, you just can't do that. Some people will have it. I tried once having it on my iPad and not on my phone, so that I had to consciously go and check it. I had to consciously make the decision to pick up my iPad, which I didn't really use for anything else besides like drawing things, to then go and check social media. So I only had my business accounts on there. But it just didn't last very long because A, I was bored. B, I have a lot of friends on there. So I use it for socializing, social media, not just for scrolling.
You're kind of trying to be a good friend and be aware of what everyone is doing at the same time. It's tricky to quit. I think if I was going to manage it a little bit better, I'd allow myself time for it. So I'd say, rather than having it be constant throughout the course of the day, I would just set time to look at it in the morning, middle of the day, and the evening. So maybe allow myself 3 15-minute chunks that I could check in, like a couple things, throw some comments in there, see if I had any messages, and then go from there. So that's what I might try to do, is like sort of schedule my time. Really use your Google Calendar, use your iPhone calendar, whatever phone you're using. Use your calendar to set reminders. Use your calendar to schedule out your entire day. What's your lunch hour? Because as an independent contractor, I'm not working for anyone else. I'm really working for me. So I have to schedule my day. It's not like I'm going to an office and I work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I manage my day. So I think what I'm moving towards is just really managing as, from beginning to end, and then having an outline. And if I get it done, great. But if I get close to it, if I stick to 50% of that, 70% of that, then it's better than just being, all over the place. Now, I have a idea for us.
Okay.
This is your first podcast.
Yes.
People really don't know you as well. So
this is true.
I've kind of talked about myself. Why don't you tell me about yourself and your struggles, and then how you're coping and managing and what you're doing? So how do you come to host this podcast? And then what are some things that you've struggled with? And then what are some ways that you kind of gamify things as well? Or do you do that at all?
I do. I mean, I am a gamer. I love gaming. So when I kind of figured that out, I was like, this is much better. And even my self-talk, when you were talking about, checking in with yourself, I really love the game Skyrim. It's my all-time favorite game ever.
What is it?
And it's about you play a dragonborn sort of warrior, and your destiny is to go and kill all the dragons.
What is
So
the name
in
of
my
the
head, Skyrim.
Oh, yeah, I know it. Okay.
Yeah, Skyrim is awesome. But basically, if I ever think I can't do something, I now say to myself in my head, you are a dragonborn. You can do anything. You're a slayer of dragons. So
Yeah.
for me, that gives me all the motivation I need to be like, I can fold that laundry. Definitely. I can do
Yes,
it.
got
If I
it.
can slay dragons, I can fold that laundry and I can put it away. So yeah, I mean, I never knew that I had ADHD. I still don't know for certain, but I'm like 99% sure. And it suddenly all started to make sense. So I think when you kind of think about it and you learn more about it, and then your life starts to make more sense, you probably did have it. So a lot of for me, the emotional regulation was awful. So bad. It was from 0 to 100 back to 0 very quickly all the time. And
So,
my
go in a little bit more detail. So emotional regulation, just upset for no apparent reason, or just you for any little thing would kind of upset you.
it's weird things sometimes. But that could also be related to like how my brain works. So sometimes it would be, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then suddenly I'm not fine. And now I understand that can be overstimulation. That can be masking for a certain amount of time and then running out of energy. It could be so many different things. But to the outside world, it was, she's perfectly fine. And then suddenly she's not fine and either starts crying or starts like yelling or screaming or like running away or whatever it was. It was just like, suddenly I'm not fine. And then, that could last for days, me not being fine. It could last for weeks, me not being fine. And then one day I'd be okay again. And it's either because I'd replenished my energy or the thing that was annoying me was gone or whatever. But I'd also get super duper excited about things. And I still do. So that's the other end of the spectrum, is that if I feel things very deeply, it's all really, really high highs or really, really low lows. And it's not bipolar. It's just not being able to regulate the up and down all the time. So through a lot of therapy and coaching and hypnotherapy, that is now like gone. I'm just content. And I have this baseline level of contentment and I don't fluctuate too much.
That's great.
So these things can be learned. And as a mental health coach, I actually teach other people how to do it as well. So my specialty in what I do is I help neurodivergents to learn anxiety and stress management and emotional regulation.
Oh, great.
Because I had to learn them as well.
You find yourself telling your clients, and if you want to help me get to another level, what are some things that you find yourself saying and coaching people to do on a regular basis?
One of the first things would be to kind of explore your self-worth, because most people with ADHD have very low self-esteem, low self-worth. They experience sensitivity to rejection. So rejection sensitivity, dysphoria. And I was going to ask you as well, like as an actor, has that affected you quite a lot? Do you experience that?
Yes, it's part of rejection is part of my job. So I audition on a regular basis, not enough. And I've been successful. I've been able to work as an actor for 22 years. But I'm kind of used part of it. And I know part of it is trying your hardest and then not caring about the result afterwards. So when I really needed something, that's when I felt like I did my worst work. and I really wanted it because I needed it. I need the money. I need this gig. I need this job. And that's when I'm off my game. When I go into it just trying to do my best, that's helped me quite a bit. So I know rejection is part of it. Sometimes it's hard. I mean, it's very difficult when you are trying to keep up with the Joneses, where, especially with Instagram and social media, we're seeing all of these influencers that are wealthy beyond belief, doing nothing with very little talent. And if you start comparing yourself to other people, that'll drive you insane. And then you need to be like them, and you start making horrible choices. You're not so, if that's what you want to do, it's really great. But I feel like when you get in trouble, when you compare yourself to others, and then these jobs matter more, the money matters more than the art. And so I just really just try to think about the art and doing a good job. And I know rejection is part of it. And then telling my children, since they were old enough to understand what I was talking about, try hard and be nice. Just, that's it. And you got to put yourself out there. I mean, if there's no reason any of us have to even get dressed in the morning, we could just curl up in a ball in our bed.
We do sometimes.
And just not go outside and drink, but we're adults that, want to be happy, healthy, and ultra successful. And we're going to attack every single day. And that's what, I try to do. I'm kind of bad about, and I actually was going through some of the, since I'm new to this diagnosis, even though I've had it horribly, for a long time, and reading about it, I'm like, check, all of these things. Obviously it's like staying organized and staying focused and not beating ourselves up is it's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. And I feel that if you know that you're going to get rejection in your job, it's almost easier to handle than a personal rejection. And it doesn't even have to be a proper rejection. It could be like a perceived rejection. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I'm hyper focused on any slight. If somebody says something in a meeting that I take the wrong way, hang up and go, did that person just say this to me? Was that a dig? And you're sort of like analyzing all of the words and, just this interaction, like, how did that go? We're grading all of these interactions, you're playing it over and over in your head. So that's why, it's hard. Social media, with myself, putting myself out there and have people making mean comments, it hurts. And then you got to realize it's like, you don't look at them, or, you realize that this person is a negative person and it just doesn't really matter. I would never write something mean on someone else's comment. I just wouldn't.
Neither would I. I don't know what makes people do it, but whatever I do in response to trolls or people that are clearly just having a bad day, I'm just nice to them, because I'm like, well, maybe no one has shown them kindness and maybe that's what they need, And then normally they come back with a nice comment back. So sometimes they're just having a bad day.
Yeah, I just, it really, for a while I was hesitant to even put stuff out there, because you have this social media about putting yourself out there, putting out any opinion, putting out, because you're worried about what the reactions are going to be. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to navigate on a daily basis. It really is, because once you start learning more and more about it, it's tricky. Like, we're having trouble concentrating. We're easily distracted. I have to really focus to listen to someone and what they're saying and staying on point. Procrastination is incredibly difficult. Waiting for someone, like the listening is so hard. It really is. It's just really need to care about others. Me and my wife always talk about being interested, not interesting. I really want to do a better job of asking people about them and not going on and on about myself, making everything about myself. So that's helped me in a lot of personal interactions. Regulating emotions, again, and impulsivity is something I think if I had to put on the top of my list of issues, it might be that. I really don't have a hard time with physical hyperactivity. It's the mental hyperactivity that is crazy for me. Like I think about, someone described it as a river of 25,000 thoughts. Your head is just in this nonstop flow. And then you wake up in the middle of the night, how was your sleep?
Do you know what? My sleep is amazing. Sorry to say. It's really good.
I slept really well last night. I went to bed later than I should have because I was just scrolling on my phone. And hyperactivity, overcommitment, taking on too many tasks. I do that.
Yeah, I do that too.
We're both on a podcast.
This is like the sixth job that I have.
Yeah. I have 10 jobs. And then time management. My wife says that I have horrible, it's not like spatial awareness, but it's time something awareness where, for example, this morning I played golf. I got my car serviced and then I had to go home, get showered, changed, come here. I just tried to do way too much this morning. So
yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, I just too much, trying to do too much in a short amount of time is my classic me. And then our executive function stuff. It's like, what are my priorities? And I think that's where I've gotten better at figuring out using my phone. Do you have an iPhone?
No, I don't. I've got a Samsung.
Samsung, the other massive company. So, using those apps for to-do lists, using Google Tasks or whatever it is, just to organize my day has been helpful. And like I said, it's been tricky. It's been a lot to manage.
Yeah. Here's one thing that I don't know if, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, despite that, you ended up getting a lot done.
That's good.
I
don't know.
I have a grease board over here that you can't see, but a dry erase board. And, it's spinning plates. So I write, these are the plates. And you just want to work the list of things that I need to do on a regular basis. But there's 10 things on there. Probably need to be doing, 5 more. And I just need to keep all the plates spinning is basically how I get a lot done.
Mm-hmm. There's one thing that might be helpful for people that I learned is that if you have a to-do list, write a shorter to-do list using that, but only put 3 things on there so that it feels a lot less overwhelming. You can even have the long one underneath the short one. You only transfer 3 things from that list, and they can be easy wins. They can be longer tasks, whatever you want to put onto the short list. Only look at that and then cross them off, and then you can put more on.
Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about in terms of cleaning your closet, and say, I'm just going to put the jackets away on the chair. Like, that's what I'm going to do. The clothes on the chair, I'm going to have a clean chair, and that's it. And then hopefully you can get some more done. But just as accomplishable goals is what we're talking about.
And also take the time to pause and celebrate that you've done them, because I think a lot of people with ADHD, it's very much onto the next thing, onto the next, and you forget to pause and be like, okay, I finished a task, I did a thing, and then you don't get that dopamine hit if you're just continually like next. It's when you have so much to do and so much to think about. That's part of the reason I think that there is a deficiency.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't do that enough. I probably need to celebrate my wins a little bit more. Yesterday, it's like we planned out our entire day here, and went through like, this is our lunch, this is our this, like we're gonna do our variety of things. We didn't finish. We didn't get through it all. We did pretty well, and I'm like, we did pretty well. So maybe I was very satisfied with trying and doing better today.
Yeah. See, if at the end of yesterday, you just took a moment before you went to sleep to be like, what did I do today? And you actually started listing it all out, you might have gone, oh, I've actually done quite a lot.
That's kind of me every single day. And if anything, that's a little bit of a problem, because when I don't have a very accomplished day, I feel guilty, and I'm having a difficult time figuring out how to relax. I love gardening. I have a big backyard, and I love exercise. I love gardening, and I'm not getting to the gym as much as I should. You know what I mean? I'm not doing all the other things. Well, I did play golf this morning and found time to do that. I am not able to really relax. So
yeah.
That's a big issue. I'm looking forward to it's like more. I love working and I love staying busy, but in 2025, I'm really going to try to shut things down and figure out how I can sit and read, sit and relax, and build in some time to just chill and do nothing. I need more non-phone time chilling out.
As silly as it sounds, I've been practicing watching movies without getting up in the middle. It could be my phone. It could be I get up to make a cup of tea and then suddenly an hour later the TV's still on and I'm doing something completely different because I get so distracted, but I'm practicing. So it does take practice to sit still, I think.
It does. And I have to tell myself that it's okay to relax. Because when you're talking about ADHD doers, we're talking about people that are busy like myself. I assume that you're going to talk to a lot of folks that just like have so many things going on. Our hyperactivity is having us take on too many things. Then they gamify it like I did. And now we're accomplished because we gamified ADHD and successfully figured out how to manage it and are now and took on too many things. Where ADHD is our superpower. ADHD allows me to be a great storyteller because my mind races down a path of all the possible outcomes in a story. ADHD allows me to be a fantastic business person because I do a great job anticipating markets and demand. It has me, it's like I can see into the future a little bit with it, and I can chart out a story. So as a writer, I love it. It's just difficult to actually sit down and write. I know for some other writers, they've used parental controls on their computer to block the internet. And that goes back to the gamifying it all. They only are allowed to use the internet before 9 a.m. and then to 5. I know friends who have gone up to cabins in remote areas and sat there without internet and tried to say, okay, I'm going to stay here for 5 days and I'm walking out of here with a screenplay. There's this great book by Stephen Pressfield. I'm not sure if you know it, called The War of Art.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah.
I highly recommend it because it talks about resistance. When you get closer to your goal, the resistance becomes stronger. This pull to do other things or problems in your life or just going to get distractions amplify. So once you're aware of that, you're closer. It really does help you understand how, these things are going to happen. They happen to everyone and you need to power through. The act of just starting is very important for us. The act of just sitting down at your computer and say, I'm going to write for 30 minutes and without touching my phone. My phone's going to be in another room is very important. So that's it. That's all I'm trying to do on a regular basis. And, with the primary focus being happy, healthy, and ultra successful.
It seems like you're doing a very good job of keeping everything in check for yourself and working with your brain, not against it, which is really good. I just wanted to ask before we go, if you could give one piece of advice to your past self, what would it be?
Oh, that's great. Because I love this question. I ask this question a lot. But if I could give one piece of advice to my past self, how young do I get to know this?
Whatever you choose.
I think I would have been a much better student. I think I would have told myself that I'm not just smart, but I'm incredibly smart. And I have a gift. And just because I can't do this, there's ways to power. I basically would have told myself how to learn and given myself the tricks that we just talked about. And with that, I think I wouldn't have self-medicated as much. And I would have been on the path that I'm on just a little bit sooner. So I started doing stand-up comedy very late in life. I started as a 28-year-old because I knew if I made it to 30, I'd probably never try it. So I think I would have given my past self the keys to success, which we talked about as like timer, gamifying. Just read this one page and take these notes and make flashcards and, again, use this timer and just help myself be a little bit more organized. And I probably would have started doing stand-up much sooner and taken more acting classes.
That's good. That is good.
But again, I'm in a great spot and I feel good. I'm lucky enough to have figured it out. When your temper pops up and you feel yourself having a difficult time with your impulses and your reptile brain kicks in and you're reacting to something and you get angry, it happens, but I think I can just get better and better every single day. So that's the goal, is just to keep improving and with an eye on, again, happiness is the main goal.
Sounds really good. And one thing just based on that, just remember that all emotions are normal and we don't have to judge ourselves for having them.
And we're not going to be happy 100% of the time. No one is. No. And it's okay to have these thoughts, and how you react to them is more important than the thoughts themselves. It's how we react to all these situations, how we react to these thoughts that we're having, way more than everyone else.
Absolutely. Well,
how do we find you on social? How do we follow you on Instagram? What are all your social?
So our page is the ADHDoers, so at ADHDoers, and we will have a YouTube with the same name as well. So you can follow both of those pages and find us there. And as you mentioned previously, your socials are Al Madrigal.
Yes, ALMADRIGAL, and you can kind of find me everywhere based on that, I guess. I told you I wasn't good.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's been very insightful and it's good to hear kind of how you got to where you are and the things you struggle with. A lot of people do. So it's good to hear your advice and how you've helped yourself as well. So thank you.
Awesome. No, you're welcome and best of luck. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.